Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to show you a better way to swap variables. I've had a couple of occasions recently where I had to swap the values of two variables, and I've been using a method that requires 3 lines of code, and the method that I've been using works perfectly fine, doesn't generate any errors, but a user or a viewer showed me a way to do it with only 1 line. In fact, that viewer was Hi Ev, the same person who drew my attention to the problem with saving when we had arrays with text for their index instead of numbers. So thanks once again for that, Hi Ev. Anyway, I've got some sample sort of output here where we've got these 3 variables, A, B, and C. So A is 7 and B is 10. They're arbitrarily chosen values. I swap them and then just display that A is 10 and B is 7. And then we perform a more complicated swapping or rearrangement with 3 variables, because this method does work for 2 variables, but it works for 3 or 4 or any other higher number. In my experience, you'll probably mostly be using it to swap 2 variables. You have very few occasions on which you have to rearrange values among 3 or more variables, if any. But of course, it's good to know how to do it in a more, how to do a more complicated thing, even though you might not be called on to do it very much. So let's look at the code. So we set up the variable, we print them out, we perform the new way of swapping it, and that swaps it. So let me show you, I'll just isolate that because that's the important thing. Let me show you what I was doing before. Let's say we want to swap A and B. The way that I was doing it before involves a temporary variable, in this case Z. So we write the value of one of the variables into Z, and then we transfer from the second variable to the first variable, and then the second variable gets the value that was put in the temporary variable. So this ends with Z having a new value, but because Z is a temporary variable, we're assuming that you don't care what's in that, and it's going to be overwritten the next time you use Z anyway. So that's perfectly fine. But as you can see, this is a lot quicker. We just set square bracket $A, comma $B, end square bracket equals square bracket $B, $A. And if we want to do something more complicated, we could do something like this. We could say set $A, comma $B, $C equals $C, $A, $B. So A has the old value of C, B has the old value of A, and C has the old value of B in this case. And there's a few notes down here. Any of those variables, they don't have to be single variables. They can be entries in an array. So you could have, as I've got in this example down here, name square bracket $B end square bracket, or $port square bracket 0 end square bracket, as long as those were arrays that you'd set up before. You could do that. The new values can be formulas. The old values can't, because that doesn't mean anything. So you could set something to C times 10, or $A plus $C, or the maximum of 2 variables or 3 variables, where you'd use math.max, etc., etc. Anything that you can do with normal assignment of variables or changing the value of variables, you can do with this. And finally, the 2 lists of variables don't have. Oh boy, I'm having a lot of trouble. There we go. The 2 lists of variables don't have to contain the same variable. So you could set A, B, and C to D, E, and F if you wanted to, or A, B, and C to D, E, and A, or whatever was appropriate. So I'm not going to go back and change all the examples of swapping, because I've got quite a lot of examples of swapping 2 variables in my code, but I am going to use this from now on, and it is, as you can see, slightly more efficient. So once again, thanks to Hi Ev for pointing this out to me. In my next video, I'll probably get back to my ongoing project of coding the combat system for a viewer's game. So I'll leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.